What story happened to you? No one would believe. I nearly drowned on the 4th of July when I was 16. Parents, aunts and uncles were around the pool and didn't see anything and insisted it didn't happen because they would have seen it. I agreed to swim with my younger cousins. They were ecstatic that a big kid agreed to swim with them. I jump in and they immediately all dog pile on top of me. They are pushing me down in their excitement and am trying to get to the surface. I remember blacking out for a second and then thinking, I'm not dying in a fucking swimming pool. I did the only thing I could think of at the time. I went against my instincts and dove deeper into the deep end and eventually got out from underneath my cousins and pulled myself out of the pool. I went to my first festival in 1991, watched the opener at 10 a.m. with 100 other mostly uninterested people, and did not think too much of it. Half a year later, the band was all over the hit charts. The name of the group, Nirvana. I swear that I was on a boat and saw a giant ray stingrays were around. Although it looked bigger, launch itself out of the water, flip and go back down. It then did it again. As the person who saw it with me and I shouted, everyone else came over and it never happened again, and I can't find a YouTube of this behavior. I swear this happened, and it pisses me off. I don't have proof. I almost died in a hurricane. It was a small one, so nothing like Hurricane Katrina or the most recent one, Helene. We were at a beach and were told we needed to take shelter. I had left my shoes down the beach and said I would catch up and went and got my shoes. I could see the public bathrooms and was running towards them when all of a sudden I couldn't see anything. The sand around me blocked me from seeing anything. I was just standing there when someone grabbed me and yanked me into the bathroom. My mom said everyone could see me, and 1 minute I was there and the next I was just gone, and some lady just ran out and grabbed me and pulled me back in. When we left a few hours later, trees were then down. Grills were all over the place, chairs were stuck in trees, etc. I could have been killed if that lady hadn't grabbed me, so thank you lady, I don't know, for saving me. I grew up in upstate New York, near the border with Vermont. One day in the fall of my freshman year of high school, it was such a nice day out that my English teacher had us all go outside and write poems while sitting on the quad. I saw an airplane passing above, which wasn't abnormal, but also didn't happen often. I wrote my poem about imagining having a connection to one of the people on the plane. We went inside, went to second period, and then a little while later got word that a plane had hit the World Trade Center in NYC. Yep, this was on 9/11. Now here's the crazy part. If you look at the flight paths, AA Flight 11, the one that hit the towers first, flew way north before turning south to go to NYC. It almost looks like it flew right over where I grew up. I don't tell this story IRL because who would believe me? B, I don't know for sure if it was actually the same plane, and C, even if I did, what the fuck would even be the point of this story? It would sound like I was somehow bragging, or trying to have some lame claim to fame kind of connection to such an awful tragedy. So I just keep it to myself, except, I guess, sharing it with you now. I was walking home from the local shops one day when I had the sudden urge to cross the street to the footpath on the other side. Just after I crossed, a huge gust of wind roared through and a large tree got uprooted, falling right on the ground where I was just walking before. Like a tree falling over in the wind is perfectly believable. But what instinct suddenly made me cross the road? Seen someone get completely trampled by a deer. When I was in the 11th grade, I was followed around by a crow. I was waiting for the tube in London when one arrived, but it was too crowded, so we decided to wait for the next. A woman kept staring at me, and when she got on the train, she turned to face the man next to her, whose back was turned, and continued to look at me while licking the huge afro of the man, all without him noticing. The doors closed and the tube pulled away. It sounds too strange to be true, but I'll never forget it. Went camping last year. Woke up to something pressing in on the tent down by my feet. Watched as the pressing in shook the whole side of the tent and moved up from my feet to my hip. That's when I realized that whatever was pushing in on me was a human hand. Could clearly see the fingers outlined. Immediately took stock of everyone in my tent, all present and accounted for. Jumped up out of my cot. I was the only one who saw it. Everyone else told me to go back to bed. It was just a deer or something. Spent a good hour trying to convince myself I hadn't seen a hand. I was chillin' in a windowless room with my aunt's dog, when the shadow of a man with a beer belly walks slowly across the wall 3-4 feet away from me towards the door and vanishes. I know I wasn't crazy because the dog's head was following it too. I refused to go back to my aunt's house. She said that it's normal and that it's her deceased relatives coming to say hi every now and then. I was walking briskly to work, running late. Out of nowhere I felt the urge to pick a clover along the sidewalk. It was overflowing with cool, fluffy clovers. The split second I started to bend over to swoop down mid-walk. I knew beforehand I was somehow going to pick a 4-leaf clover, and I did. I can't explain it. I was once picked up off the ground by the throat by an individual with Down syndrome. No, I wasn't being an asshole. No, I don't blame the guy for it happening. His mother still teases me about it occasionally over 20 years later when she sees me. Rip, big guy. I saw lightning strike about 4 feet in front of me. I was walking out of the garage and I saw the bolt go from the earth up. Had I walked out of the garage about 5-10 seconds sooner, I would have been struck. I was cleaning out my wallet one day and found an old lottery ticket from a draw I had forgotten about. Just for fun, I checked the numbers and I realized I had won a small fortune. I didn't believe it at first and had to double check multiple times. I had the ticket for over a year and never knew I was a winner. A bank gave me a fake 20. It even went through the machine. Me and my wife farted at the same precise second. We keep it a secret. I saw a UFO when I was in the Navy out at sea. One time I was walking home from school in grade 6 when a bunch of raccoons started following me around and making that purr sound. Eventually they chased after my brother and started growling, then turned around and started following me again. I still have the video my brother took somewhere deep in my camera roll. When I got home I decided I wanted to see them again, so I went back to look for them. When they saw me they started growling at me, so then I was super confused. Also it was in a small group like 2-3 raccoons I believe. I got shat upon by a turkey roosting high up in a tree while illegally metal detecting an old golf course at night while working there as a night watchman. Ruined a perfectly good denim shirt.